What if taking care of yourself actually helped you show up better for everyone else? I'm Janet Jacks, Coach Janet J, and this is your next best step. This podcast is about real doable shifts that help you breathe easier and move forward one step at a time. If you've been carrying the weight of too much for too long and waiting for things to calm down before you start caring for yourself, this is your sign. The time is now. Let's begin where you are. You were made for more than just surviving. Let's talk about something that doesn't get enough space during the holidays. Grief. Not the neatly packaged, they're in a better place kind of grief that people are comfortable with. The raw, messy, this hurts so much I can't breathe grief that shows up when someone you love is missing from the table. Last week, we talked about loneliness during the holidays. Today, we're going deeper into a specific kind of loneliness. The grief that comes when someone you love is missing from the table entirely. Maybe you lost someone to death. Maybe you lost a relationship to divorce or estrangement. Maybe your adult child is spending the holidays somewhere else. And even though it's normal and healthy, it still feels like a loss. Whatever your grief looks like, the holidays seem to make it worse. Well, there is actually research that explains why. Studies published in the American Journal of Hospice and Palliative Medicine show that grief intensifies during the holidays because of increased reminders and social expectations. Your brain is processing loss while simultaneously being bombarded with messages about joy and togetherness. That is a brutal combination. There are two ancient truths that speak directly to this experience. First, 2 Corinthians 1, 3 and 4 calls God the Father of compassion and the God of all comfort, who comforts us in our troubles so that we can comfort those in any trouble with the comfort we ourselves receive from God. It doesn't say he removes the trouble or makes it easier. He comforts us in it. He's already there in the middle of your grief, offering comfort, not in the distance, waiting for you to be strong enough to approach him. And then there's the shortest verse in the entire Bible. Just 2 words that carry profound permission. Jesus wept. When Jesus faced grief, when his friend Lazarus died, he didn't spiritualize it away. He didn't quote scripture to himself about God's plan. He didn't pretend strength for the people watching. He wept. If Jesus wept in his grief, you have permission to weep in yours. Those truths are going to anchor everything we talk about today. The goal isn't to get over it or pretend to be okay. It's to navigate this season with your grief, knowing that God comforts you in it and that Jesus understands it intimately. If that's where you are right now, this episode is for you. Now, grief during the holidays shows up in many forms. Maybe you're grieving a death, a parent, a spouse, a friend, a child. Maybe you're grieving a divorce or a relationship that ended. Maybe you're estranged from someone who used to sit at your table. Maybe not everyone is together this year. And even though that can be healthy and normal, there's still an empty chair where they used to be. Maybe you're grieving your own health changes, the body you used to have, the energy you used to bring to the season. Maybe you're grieving who you used to be before life got so complicated. All of it counts. Every form of loss matters. Your grief doesn't have to involve a funeral to be real. Let's start with permission. You don't have to be okay. I know people want you to be okay. They want to see you healing and moving forward and staying positive. They are uncomfortable with your grief because it reminds them of their own vulnerabilities. However, you don't exist to make other people comfortable. You get to feel what you feel. If the holidays are hard this year because someone is missing, that's allowed. You can honor that truth without apologizing for it. Here's what I want you to understand about grief during the holidays. Actually, any day. It's not linear and it's not polite. You might be doing fine 1 minute and completely undone the next. You might be laughing at a family joke and then suddenly crying because the person you lost would have found it hilarious too. Grief doesn't follow a schedule or care that it's inconvenient. It shows up when it shows up, and it really doesn't care who else is there. So here's your next best step, grounded in those truths that God comforts the grieving and Jesus wept. Stop trying to manage your grief to make everyone else comfortable and start giving yourself permission to feel it. That doesn't mean you have to fall apart publicly or make every gathering about your loss, but it does mean you stop performing fine when you're not. Here are some practical ways to navigate grief during the holidays, and many of these are backed by research on grief processing. 1. Acknowledge the loss explicitly and name the empty chair. One of the hardest things about grief during the holidays is that others might be pretending the person isn't missing. No one wants to bring down the mood or upset you by mentioning them. Seriously, pretending doesn't help. Research from the Journal of Loss and Trauma shows that acknowledging loss openly actually reduces complicated grief symptoms by 45%. Naming the loss doesn't make it hurt more. It's already hurting. Naming it just means that you don't have to carry it alone. Here's what that might look like. Before the meal, acknowledge who's not there. Light a candle in their honor. Say their name out loud. You might say something like, "Name, you are missed and loved. This table feels different without you, and we honor that truth." You could share one favorite memory. You could name one gift they gave your life. You could include their stocking, even though they're not there. You could look at photos together. The empty chair doesn't have to be invisible. Naming it honors both the person you've lost and the grief you're carrying. 2, give yourself permission to change. Maybe you can't do the holidays the same way you've always done them. Maybe it hurts too much. Maybe the traditions were so connected to the person that you lost, doing them without that person feels wrong. You can create new traditions. Maybe instead of hosting the big family dinner, you go away this year. Maybe instead of opening presents in the morning like you always did, you shift to the evening. Maybe you simplify everything this year. Grief gives you permission to do things differently. You're not abandoning the person you lost by creating new traditions. You're honoring your own capacity to cope. 3, set boundaries around should statements. People are going to tell you what you should do. You should still celebrate. They would have wanted that. You should be grateful for the time you had. You should focus on the joy of the season. While all of those shoulds might be well-intentioned, they are not helpful. You get to decide what serves you. If you need to skip certain gatherings, skip them. If you need to leave early, leave early. If you need to say no to conversations about your grief because you're barely holding it together, that is your right. Remember, God comforts us in our troubles. He doesn't require you to perform strength or positivity. He meets you right where you are. 4, find one person who will let you be real. You need at least one person in your life who will let you talk about the person you lost without trying to fix your grief or rush you through it. Someone who will let you cry without saying, "It's okay, don't cry." Someone who will listen to you tell the same story about your person for the 10th time. Someone who won't be uncomfortable with your pain. If you don't have that person in your immediate circle, consider reaching out to a counselor or a grief support group. Carrying grief alone is incredibly heavy. 5, balance honoring grief with allowing joy. Here's something that might surprise you. You can be grieving and still experience moments of joy. Those two things can coexist. You can laugh at a joke and still miss your person. You can enjoy parts of the holiday and still feel sad about the loss. You can feel gratitude and grief at the same time. Grief doesn't mean you're not allowed to feel anything else. And feeling joy does not mean you're not grieving deeply. Give yourself permission to experience the full range of emotions without judging yourself for any of them. 6, create rituals to honor your grief. This is where the neuroscience research becomes really helpful. Studies from Harvard Medical School show that our rituals help our brains process grief by giving us a structured way to honor loss. Rituals create a container for grief. Maybe you write a letter to the person you lost and read it out loud on Christmas Eve. Maybe you make their favorite meal. Maybe you donate to a cause they cared about. Maybe you do an act of service in their honor. These rituals certainly don't fix grief, but they give it a place to land. They help you feel connected to your person, even though they're not physically present. One of my clients lost her mother the year before. This was her first Christmas holiday without her. She decided to make her mom's famous pie recipe, even though she had never made it before and messed it up completely. She said, "It tasted terrible, but making it made me feel close to her. And then we all laughed about how mom would have corrected my technique. And it was this beautiful moment where grief and love and laughter all mixed together." That's what grief during the holiday can look like. Not perfect, not tied up in a bow, but real and honest and human. 7, try this simple memory blessing. This is something you can do alone or with others who are also grieving. Take a breath. Say their name out loud. Then say, "You are missed and loved." Then name one specific gift they gave your life. Maybe it's how they made you laugh. Maybe it's a value they taught you. Maybe it's a tradition they started. Maybe it's simply they saw you and they loved you well. Name it out loud if you can. One for me personally would be, "Alma, you are so missed and loved. I still remember how you made sure to have everyone's favorite treats for the holidays, and they were all on the coffee table. Let yourself feel both the grief of their absence and the gratitude for their presence in your life. This isn't about fixing the grief or moving past it. It's about holding space for both the loss and the love. And remember those truths we started with. God is the Father of compassion and the God of all comfort. He comforts you in your troubles. And Jesus wept, which means your tears are a sign of deep love. God doesn't need your grief to be pretty or manageable. He meets you in the mess of it. Create your own empty chair blessing. Choose one intentional way to honor who or what you're grieving this holiday season. Maybe it's the memory blessing I just described. Maybe it's lighting a candle in the evening. Maybe it's writing them a letter about what life has been like this year without them. Maybe it's making their favorite recipe or donating to a cause they loved. Maybe it's simply giving yourself permission to cry when you need to. Pick what works best for you. There's no right way to do this. The goal isn't to make the grief smaller or more manageable. The goal is to stop pretending the empty chair isn't there. And if you need to hear this, your grief is not too much. Your sadness is not a burden. Your missing someone is not ungrateful or wrong. The holidays are hard when there is an empty chair at your table. That's just true. You don't have to pretend it's not there. God is the Father of compassion and the God of all comfort. He is close to you right now as you sit with the ache of that empty chair. He doesn't need you to pretend to be strong or joyful or grateful. He draws near and comforts you. And Jesus wept, which means you can too. Take your next best step, whatever that looks like for you. All right, you've got your next step. Small, doable, and real. If this inspired you, make sure to grab your free 5-minute daily reset at yournextbeststep.com. It's my gift to help you pause the chaos and reconnect with what matters most. Be sure to subscribe. And if someone came to mind while you listened, please share this with them. Remember, you are seen, you are known, and you matter. Be kind to yourself along the way. You are making real change, one step at a time.